Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Tales from the Tavern. This week we have a special guest on with us, and if you're listening in the audio podcast you'll hear who that is in a second. But first of all, I want to mention the videos that we put out over the last month. So they've all been to do with our art department and animation, and if you tuned in you've seen we've done Outposts, A World in Motion, Imagining Islands, and Animating Skeletons. We also have another inside story that went out during the month on our Insider program, and we'll catch up on that very soon. But if I could also direct you to, if you're listening to the podcast, to watch us on YouTube. It's on 4K up there, so you can watch it in a glorious 4K TV if you've upgraded for your Xbox One S. And if you're not, we're on all reputable podcast apps.
And if we're not, let us know, we'll get it on there.
Yep, absolutely. As you can see, if you're watching, we went all out for the holiday season, and we've decorated the tavern to the.
Didn't you make that joke? You made that joke about Halloween.
About Halloween, yeah.
It wasn't funny then.
I actually wanted us to wear Christmas jumpers, but I didn't think that would go down very well.
Mistletoe hanging from the ceiling. Awkward.
But let's go around and introduce our guests and who's on today.
Yeah, so I'm Joni, executive producer.
I'm Ted Timmins, the PC design lead.
Joe McFarlane, community video manager.
Emma Bridal, social media manager.
I'm Rhys Constance, and I'm from the Reddit I'm Rhys Constance, and I'm from the Xbox One subreddit. Forgot the name of what I do.
And the Xbox Party Chat podcast.
And the Xbox Party Chat podcast.
There we go.
Cool.
Awesome.
Which we've been on, and now you're here with us.
There you go.
Absolutely, and welcome to the tavern. But we're going to go straight across to Emma, who's going to tell us about the amazing community content that's been on this.
So hang on, I'm trying to think when this is going out. So a short while ago, you may have noticed, I think it was Joe who posted in the forum, said that, we are listening to what you're wanting to know about. We're reviewing it, and Mike, who couldn't be with us today, put in a post in our forums and on the subreddit about combat. That's right.
Yeah. So well, basically, we got feedback from some of our community members that we'd been kind of talking about wanting to be open and transparent, and obviously we've been releasing a bunch of videos and stuff to our community and everything else. But there's been loads of discussions going on in the forums, and they felt we hadn't been contributing enough, I guess, to kind of to listening to what they're talking about and kind of giving them some insights really about their top kind of topics. And that was fair feedback, right? So we had a discussion about it. We kind of got a bunch of people together and said, like, how do we kind of make this part of actually our routine, right? And so now we do a regular review of the kind of forums, of the kind of topics that are popping up, and the top one that everyone's kind of most interested in is that personal combat, right? Is kind of pistols or blunderbusses, and then kind of sword side of things. And so we had Mike kind of put our aspirations on there, kind of the things we feel confident about and about the design, and also our aspirations for the sword side of things. So we feel pretty good about guns. We've got that, we're playing it, we feel good about the kind of the direction we're taking with those. And the swords, we have our aspirations and we're prototyping that work at the moment. But it's all about the kind of flow of when you're on a ship and at distance, that's kind of when the cannons are the kind of that's the weapon, that's what you're going to be using there. When you get closer, that's when the kind of blunderbusses or the pistols can come into play, as you're kind of the ships are alongside each other, you can start kind of picking each other off. But then if you manage to jump onto another ship and board them, that's when kind of the sword is going to be the optimal weapon in that close combat environment. Really, again, like you'd imagine, right, from watching a pirate movie or a pirate film and a TV show and stuff. So it was all about just talking about those aspirations, and the reaction seemed to be really positive, both on Reddit and in the forums, right? From people just discussing it and throwing their ideas around and everything. So really looking forward to kind of continuing that kind of thing in future. I think we feel good, I think, and it's always about us talking about aspirations and the design thinking behind things, but the proof in the pudding will be when people get to play it, right? So we don't want to kind of overpromise and underdeliver. It's just, here's what we're doing, here's the thinking behind it, and now try it and see what you think.
I think as game developers as well, there's no better feeling than you make a suggestion and then you see it in game and everyone's like, oh, this is really good, and now like our fans and our players are going to have suggestions. If they're good, and I'm sure there will be loads, they get to go in the game, and then they get to have that same satisfaction that we get to have every day, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
Well, that was the big thing other than the Insider program, but that's a whole other thing.
So before we go into that, let's dig into a little bit more of Rhys.
I don't like the way you're looking at me.
And so you want to tell us a bit more about what you do in the community? And
Well, yeah, I moderate the Xbox One subreddit, as I mentioned, and I also I'm a co-host for the Party Chat podcast, and we do podcasts. We have interviews. We've had you guys on. Yep. We've had Larry Herb, that's Major Nelson, and we've had Aaron Greenberg and a whole bunch of other people. And it's a really fun sort of community-based podcast where we talk about what's going on in the subreddit. And other than that, I just do stuff for Xbox and for Reddit, so stuff like that.
Cool. How many people subscribe to the Xbox One Reddit or subreddit?
About 280,000 subscribe, and we have about roughly 2 million unique hits a month.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have about 2,500 and about 4,500 monthly active. So we're on the way.
You'll get there.
You'll start somewhere. Yeah.
Room to grow.
Yeah. But yeah, so if any of the guys from your subreddit are listening today, then feel free to come and subscribe.
Actually, they absolutely should, because we have one of the moderators, Richard. Hi, Richard. I'm at Rare, and you're not.
Sorry, Richard.
It's a shame you can't drop them.
Actually,
just knock it.
Actually, there's really something that I have to I've been holding it in all day. I've been trying my best to act professional and friendly, so I just got to get this out of the way. I'm at Rare. Oh my god! That felt
well
great.
Done.
But yeah, no, seriously, Richard is one of the mods also on the Sea of Thieves subreddit, and so everyone should go and subscribe.
Yeah.
Oh right, so he kind of
he does
moderates the Sea of Thieves subreddit.
Yeah.
So, wow, okay, that's cool.
So he
done a great job with the art and everything. And the
do you remember
style.
do you remember the Rare replay theme they did on the Xbox One subreddit last year? All interactive was beautiful. Richard did that. He's a huge Rare fan. He was on the podcast when Bobby and I were on, and he will be fuming that he's not here. So sorry,
but yeah, we do a lot of fancy skins for all the new release games and stuff like that, and it's me, Richard, and another guy named Mikey who normally do all of those.
Yeah, it's really good work. It's really cool.
Yeah. No, and it's new for me on this project to be kind of actively engaging with Reddit and a Reddit community actually, and it's really interesting to kind of to be on there and to it's kind of like almost these are new style forums, aren't they, really, like the Reddit kind of community. This is where people go to discuss games and seek information and find things out and recommend stuff to each other. It's just a really fascinating kind of community, and I'm really enjoying engaging with a kind of, because not everybody that's on our forums is on the Reddit and vice versa, so there's actually, we've got these two community locations that we have to speak to people and answer questions, and it's it's the first thing I do every morning when I get in. Like, I check those two things, see if I've been tagged in anything, if there's any notifications I have to go and answer, or if there's anything I want to contribute to. So it's a super cool kind of site and process, right?
Yeah, I think it's really good, especially like for you guys as developers, because you can really see what the community's interested in and what they like and what they don't like simply because Reddit is community curated. So if they like something, they vote up, and if they don't like something you've said, it gets voted down. So you can really just see at a glance how community feels about something you've just said. So it's good.
Yeah. And we definitely took inspiration from it actually when we actually set about creating our own forums.
Yeah.
Because we've got just in looking at the upvoting and the downvoting, so we've got those on topics.
Oh yeah,
and
you
things,
do.
On individual posts and stuff. Because again, we want to kind of take that same kind of ethos. I think it's about what's most interesting to the community. These are the
bubbling
things.
To the top,
exactly. What's bubbling to the top. These are the things we need to listen to, right? And we'd like Bobby Lamarand, who's our engagement manager, is a huge fan of Reddit and has always been engaged in that. So he brought a lot of that to when we were designing the site and stuff, right? So. Like from the very get-go, we were looking at that as inspiration. Yeah. So it's
awesome. Well, that's it's awesome to have you here, and obviously earlier on getting to dive into the game today, which must have been
that was a little bit of fun.
So Reese came to visit us at Gamescom dressed fully in pirate gear, with a hook hand.
Yeah. I wanted to bring my hat, but it wouldn't fit in the carry-on.
So he played at Gamescom, and then he's played again today, and obviously there's quite a bit more in than there was then. So
it's like you introduced me today this morning, right? And you're like, you've met Reese. I'm like, have I? And you're like,
he was
dressed
a
as a pirate.
It's like a whole new game, honestly. Like obviously the core concept is the same, but the difference is huge from what I played today. And
good job avoiding spoilers there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was careful.
I was just ready to kick him under the table. Like.
Some new stuff. Suitably vague.
Okay, so talking about our community and how we're doing with them, we had the Insider program go out.
22nd of November.
Yes. It was the 22nd of November. Yes, that was when it was. Yeah.
Signed up immediately.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good job.
So that was really exciting for us, right? And it's something we've had in the works for a while, right? That we wanted, and we want to offer people an insight into the behind the scenes stuff that's kind of going on at Rare. We've given some of that in the videos we've been doing and the podcasts and everything else, but as we move into this kind of testing phase where we'll bring real players into our into the game to start to playing it and giving feedback and everything, we also want to then give insights into how we're progressing and how we're moving forward for everyone within the Insider program, because we'll be starting small. Like when we go to that first testing phase with real players, we'll start with a small number, and we'll be doing kind of scheduled play tests like we've been doing at the moment with the internal alpha. So put it up for a weekend or a few hours here, a few hours there, get a bunch of people in to play it, then look at the data, the telemetry, look at their feedback. But we also want to share the kind of the results of that and the insights that we're getting from that with that wider Insider program. So even if you don't get into that first round of testing or the second round of testing, you're still going to be getting information and getting insights that isn't going to be going to the wider community, because these are the guys that they're signed up, they're super keen, and we want them to feel involved and see the direction it's going in and have the opportunity to participate in surveys and give feedback about decisions we're making and directions we're taking. It's super cool, and we've had there was a lot of coverage kind of sprung up organically from that. We didn't make a big PR push out of it. We just put it out on our own channels, but a load of places picked it up, and the reception's been so positive. Like,
incredibly,
really
it's really good as well. Like reading through the survey, all the data that's coming through, and actually seeing people's expectations, what they want to see from it, like to start with, and then trying to actually have discussions around that kind of stuff. And for a lot of it, it's validating our own, but then there's other things where you're like, oh, that's new, that's cool.
It's interesting to, like, we won't go into I think details of exactly all the data we've got, right? But in terms of looking at the platform, so how many Xbox players versus PC, there was kind of interesting numbers there, and also some of the stuff around like what are the things you're most looking forward to when you're playing Sea of Thieves. And actually one of the top things that was rated was like just playing with a crew, going out on adventures with a crew, and that was really interesting to see that kind of almost as the top ranked thing.
That's what I picked.
There you go. And so a lot of people, I think that social that social team kind of experience, people are really looking forward to that in the game, and I know that there are people, there's lots of players out there going, is there going to be option for a smaller ship or for me to play on my own? And in the future for sure we do want to do that, but the kind of the core promise of going on adventures in a crew with your mates, like that resonating really well with people, that's really cool, really promising.
Shared stories.
And so I think like we will be sharing some of that information with the Insider program, so we're going to be actually kind of letting them know some of the things that players are most interested in from that survey stuff. I think in one of our first mails out to them might already have gone out to them by the time they hear this, right? But
I think so,
I think it will have done actually. But we want to share that and show you, hey, look, from all those people that have signed up, here's what people are most looking forward to and everything. And it just, I think when we start testing the game with players as well, we can start seeing, okay, we had a bunch of people that were really interested in this. Are we meeting their needs? Or are all the people that wanted to get together as a crew not enjoying it because there's not enough opportunity to do that? I think that specific example, that won't be a problem. But the other activities people are looking for, whether it's exploring the world, whether it's things to do with lore or whatever, we want to make sure that, as we've always said, we want to meet a wide range of motivations, and it's why we ask those questions in the for the Insider program, and it's how we'll be measuring as we move forward that are we meeting all this, and how do we need to react and change. So I think
it's really important that the audience knows that we're not just asking these questions to validate what we're doing. It's like we're asking them because we genuinely want to know the feedback.
It would be nice if everything that we had planned was exactly right. Like, that would be cool, but it would also make all of this worthless and a huge investment for no value, right? But we fully expect that not to be the case, right? And that's like a game like this, a shared world where you're like, what players do in it is so important. How they play with each other, how they encounter, and what happens when they encounter other players. That's at the heart of it. And so we won't know what will happen until we put it out there. And so that's why we're doing this. That's why this is going to be earlier than people will expect. I think in terms of we're getting people involved in this game a lot earlier. When the people first get to play it, I think they're going to be kind of pleasantly surprised about how early they're getting to come in and help shape the kind of future of this project.
And I can't wait to see how people react with the different ingredients that we've chucked into the world, because of course we play around and we experience all these features internally, but when you've got thousands of players all interacting with things in ways that you didn't entirely predict. That's going to throw up some really interesting stories.
Yeah, because we know how we've kind of designed
Yes,
these features,
yeah.
right? And so you kind of worry, are you role-playing, like, by
Yeah.
doing what we expect us to do? Do you know what I mean? Are we just role-playing nicely because we're, like, we get it? And whereas, once you give people these features, how are they going to behave with them?
Yeah.
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this. Like, we can't wait to see crazy videos or crazy streams eventually.
Yeah.
NDA,
Yeah.
first time people play. But, eventually we can't wait to see what people get up to with this game. Right?
Yeah.
We'll be watching it a lot, I imagine.
Yeah,
We'll be
for sure.
watching
Well, it's even good today for me to be playing with Reese, who has played it before, but not with all the other stuff that's now in it, and sort of getting to hear what he thinks of it, because we play it at least once a week here. It's nice hearing it from someone who's a little bit removed.
Well, I mean, even in our playtest with you guys who play it all the time, as soon as we came out from the playtest, everyone gathered around and started talking like, "Oh, did you see that? And this happened, and that happened." So, it's got this really, really awesome sort of community thing going on right now, even among you guys. So, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it's just people want to share stories of their adventures, don't they? Because everything that happens to you is personal and unique, right? Even when you're within a crew, the things that happen to you within that crew and in that session are different. Everyone has a different view on it. So you all just come out and kind of just chat about it and banter about it and everything else. Right? So yeah, you're right. Like that whole concept of shared stories has been at the heart of the game from the start.
Yeah.
And the emergent nature just keeps adding to it every time, doesn't it?
Yeah, the more tools you put in there, the more emergence, the more random things going to happen, basically.
Yeah.
Which makes it hell for our testers and
it does, right? But
but it's fun as well because it keeps them entertained. The things are happening to
it's
them
not
that
too repetitive.
that have never happened before.
But like mild tangent, but one I do want to go on. I like tangents and bullet points, obviously. But
Bullet points is a thing now.
So you've got bullet points in front of
I
you.
do bullet points. They're actually little dashes, but But
Details.
Yeah. So like we actually have a fairly small test team on this project for the scale of the game, right? And that's because of the kind of stability first, automated testing approach, continuous delivery approach we've talked about in the past. But like that kind of investment in testing things up front and fixing things up front and making sure when it's done, it's delivered and it's in the game, right? Like our game isn't full of bugs, right? And it will stay like that, as we move forward. We always have this level of quality and stability and everything. But we have an incredibly small test team of like approximately 10 people, if that, right? And every other AAA game I've worked on has scaled to, maybe 70 people testing the game or something, right? But actually, we're going to keep that test team small the whole time, right? And we're going to be then going out to players and playing with real players, right? But we're not. I think it's less about bugs with real players. There'll be some, of course there will, right?
Yeah.
But they'll slip through and we won't hit them until scale. But actually, it's more about the feedback. But we've always wanted to maintain that stability and that low bug count, so that experience. We can focus on the feedback, right? We don't focus. We're not just putting something out that just has a swathe of bugs. You have to plough your way through to find the fun, right?
And don't we have something like 14,000 tests whenever someone pushes a
I don't
change?
know the number.
It's something
you may have made that
huge.
up. Yeah,
it is huge. It's definitely like well into the thousands.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was
which
4,000
probably
months
means
and
that
months
that's
ago.
the equivalent of 100 testers, right? When you think about if that was actually turned into time
just like,
spent from
like,
a human.
Yeah, and like there are issues that manual test finds. We're never going to eliminate the kind of like bugs entirely via that process, but it does put us in a really good position to do it.
I want to find out the number now.
Yeah,
because I have just pulled that out of thin air. So I'm going to go back to my desk, ping Deno and say, what is it?
Yeah,
because I'm sure it's a
leave
little
it in the
bit
YouTube comments when it comes out. Kind of on that note, rare update, like what's been happening in the studio, outside of obviously we're now on the 6th of
December.
Yeah. We've obviously continuing our internal Xbox playtests, so that's where to the internal kind of Xbox audience. We're on the weekend of the 26th. Which is tomorrow, but in the podcast is in the past.
It is the 6th of December.
So the 26th, we're doing another internal playtest, but this time we're opening up to a wider group of players within Windows. So not just the Xbox, but also kind of the Microsoft flying wing. So we get a bunch more players in. Again, testing our kind of scale of players, the amount of people we've got on servers, and again getting new people in, new feedback. And then we've got one more test before this podcast, which is on the 2nd, where we'll have some new features enabled. Really getting into that rhythm of kind of testing, getting through the feedback, and so it's all about so we can like the rhythm of kind of running this is you have to plan your kind of goals out prior to a test. What are the things you're looking to drive? Is it amount of players? Is it feedback? Is it testing features? Then you do the test and make sure that it works, and you look at all the servers. Are they up? Are they running? Are the right amount of people getting put onto the right amount of servers and right amount of crews? And then at the end you look at those results and you're like, green, oh yeah, this worked, this was great. Matchmaking's fine, we're getting the right amount of people in each crew. Or okay, we had too many crashes, we had 6% crashes, okay, that's a problem, how do we go and lower that? So that rhythm of kind of doing these playtests, really getting into a good rhythm now, and so just this one and the next one will get us into a really good place, I think. So yeah, that's what's going on in my world. What's going on in your world? PC design lead.
Wow. We've just set, I don't know, have we ever talked about our war room before? Big conference room for.
I don't know if we've called it the war room.
We're not allowed to call it the war room anymore. It's the auditorium.
Yeah. Oh wow! I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's an aggressive, negative name.
Oh wow!
The auditorium.
So in the auditorium, we've set up a totally not aggressive, PC glorious place to play Sea of Thieves, and we got 12 PCs ranging from minimum spec all the way through to 4K Ultra 60 frames a second, and today with the Black Friday sales we bought loads of gaming keyboard and mice at half price.
Did you actually?
I went to Mr. Wensley and I said, so I really want to get like some really top of the range keyboard and mice, and look, they're half price. And he said yes, and we ordered them all, so that was cool. And I guess I've also been working on some in-game stuff, but I don't know whether I can talk about the stuff I talked about in the Leeds meeting this morning. If you remember what I said I was doing today, a bit early.
Not really. I don't really listen to you, to be honest. Sorry, it's 9:15.
You organised it. It's your meeting.
As in you don't listen to everyone. Or
all right, so in that case,
it's just Ted.
I am working on non-verbal chat.
Is
that okay? There you go. I've said it now.
Yeah, we're prototyping an approach to that, right?
Yes, so it's worth talking about.
Non-verbal communications.
Yes, so it's a really important thing for our game because
that's what I can remember, because Ted like mimed it to me in the like non-verbal.
I say do it again, but it won't work for the audio version.
I should have texted it to you, right? Yeah. But no, we're really passionate about the Gaming for Everyone program that Katie Jo's running. Part of
Ted
that,
and I sit on a feedback crew for that.
And part of that is, of course, that players who are hard of hearing or for whatever reason aren't able to communicate verbally
or don't want to
don't want to. Another good example was that they've got babies sleeping in the house and they still want to play the game, they just can't physically talk.
Be shouting and
that we're looking at ways in which we can allow players to send strings of text to each other in as quick and efficient way as possible. So I think that's going to be a pivotal part of our game, and we've seen it pop up on the forums a couple of times as well. People are saying, hey, can I communicate without voice? So we're going to invest quite a bit of time into that.
We are, and we've got our aspirations for it. I think we've got a good idea of what we want to deliver for that, but it's about firm up the design, start prototyping it out, and then figure out when we want to deliver it into the game, right? That's the process we go through with pretty much everything, because we definitely, the first time people want to play, we want to test with voice, because it's a really, like, for us, it's a critical part of the experience for those that can and for those that do want to play that way. Like, it's a really cool way to play, but we want to make sure that for those that can't or don't want to, that they have a way to communicate too. But we want to test it out. We want to see how people get on with that and everything else. So
and the future learning is in future Leeds updates. I'm just going to make stuff up.
Well, there you go.
Say like really out there crazy.
It's Friday. I just I check out by Thursday evening. It's
awesome.
Good to know. So go to Joe for all requests.
Totally. Right. Please do. If you want anything signed off, expenses.
Joe, we need to go on a community team building research trip.
Yeah, get it done.
To the zoo.
I'll have forgotten about it by Monday.
You didn't join the team.
I didn't join the team at that point.
Yeah, we went to the zoo.
Awesome. Video-wise, I think we are just we're kind of winding down on 2016 now and looking
getting ahead of yourself.
We're too well ahead, and we're looking into 2017. We've seen some kind of great feedback around, especially the stuff they've been releasing the past few weeks, which has had a bit more like visual nuggets of information than we were previously announced. Everything was mainly around that E3 build that we'd shown and going in depth to some of the features that we had there. And now we're kind of starting to drop in stuff that is a little bit more future looking. And you can imagine, obviously, into 2017 we'll be continuing that trend. Yeah. So
it's funny, we had some feedback internally, didn't we? Going more engineers. Like, I'm fed up with seeing all these artists and audio people. Like, I want to see some engineers. Yeah, engineers in the limelight. Yeah, that was cool. But like, purposefully those last couple of months, you know, that you've had a month focused on audio and a month focused on art, and I explained that to the person that gave the feedback. But, you know, but we want to give like everybody on the team the same kind of exposure, right? Because everything's interesting. Like, a lot of the early videos we've done around tech, around the kind of the clouds or around the water, got real great kind of pickup, and everyone was really excited about those. So there's a whole host of stuff to talk about on this game. Right?
Definitely,
so.
Min Spec is going to be a fun one, I think. To
To
get Mark and the guys to talk about how they've got the game running on the low-end devices, and then we can reveal what those are, and that'll be a good one.
Even like our engineering Great Water, which is in the title, is probably our highest viewed video.
Best.
So
So
they can't moan too much. They've got the best viewed video. But I think like moving forward, as we start to talk more about, like, I think when we talk about the engineering stuff, we talk more about feature-driven stuff rather than pretty like art like that we show. Is it like we can probably see more engineers coming on.
Absolutely. There is a ton of stuff, right? Even like server technology, right? All about how we bring players together.
I still don't understand that.
No.
It's like a dark art.
Yeah. But it's just how we bring players together, how we bring crews together, all that stuff. That will be interesting to people in the future.
Definitely.
I don't understand what they do. It's magic.
Yeah, it's like Neo stuff.
We're not going to stop our inside stories because we think that's a really nice thing to do, and talking like to the developers about what we're going to do. It's like we need to make sure that we're getting those nuggets of information up there, like we saw in the Imagining Islands video, where we released two new islands on there that hadn't been seen before.
Freaks me out every time I watch it when he jumps. Every time.
What about yourself?
I'm working with you on planning.
You are.
Thanks for remembering. So obviously our team was launching the Insider program, and then sort of seeing the reaction to that, and that's been a really, really cool week to have. And then John and I are sort of looking ahead and going, what next, and building stuff out around that. But you pretty much covered it. So
but you're looking at we're getting pretty close to holiday.
Yes. But I don't want to ruin the surprise.
Oh, is it a surprise?
Yeah.
We'll just cut that.
No, it's fine. Leave a bit of mystery, and there will be something.
And there's some studio Christmas stuff going on as well, right? That you are a part of, with all the social goodness.
Yeah. You're going to miss the Christmas
party. I'm going to miss it, but I'm taking part in Secret Santa.
Oh yeah,
I got my name today.
Good person, yeah.
But why are you missing the Christmas party?
Oh
Ted?
So my other half decided that we should get married on that day.
And she's on the events team.
Yeah,
and so she's been planning the party she can't go to.
So I guess when this goes live, I'll be married.
Yay, congratulations!
Congratulations!
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. But this is my last day in the office.
It is your last day in the office. Yeah.
Aww. So we've got Christmas stuff coming, and planning, looking ahead.
Christmas stuff. I didn't give you away.
No.
Christmas stuff.
Everything I do is mysterious. I can't.
Has anyone done their Christmas shopping yet? Anyone? Reese, have you done any Christmas shopping yet?
No, actually, not yet.
No. Right.
Don't buy anything in the UK. It's horrifically expensive.
Not at the moment.
Hashtag Brexit.
Okay,
that's it. It's rubbish for us.
Yeah. Remember, it is the 6th of December. So
I'd almost forgotten about
that. It is very close, being the 6th of December at this exact point in time. But not yet. Soon.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, we're going to smoothly transition onto the next part of our podcast, where we'll be talking to some of the art department and animation department.
We forgot to ask Reese what he was up to.
Yeah.
Work-wise. What are you up to?
Whilst he's not here, he's a very busy man.
Well,
come on.
You mean like right at this point in time?
Or yesterday or next week.
What's on your plate?
In the general time frame.
Yesterday, I met with the European head of the ID at Xbox program, Agostino Simonetta. He's a fantastic guy. Hi, Ago. And we had lunch. Basically, it's my girlfriend's birthday and his birthday at the same time.
Oh wow!
So we combined.
Oh cool.
And I think this is my first time in the UK. I'm going to spend the weekend just being a tourist, being lame, walking around, taking pictures of things, and seeing all the stuff, and that's pretty cool. And then I'm going to go home. But when it comes to the subreddit and the podcast that we do, basically we just keep on trucking because we're more reactionary. You guys make the news and we talk about it. So so my schedule based on yours. But we do have some pretty awesome guests planned for next year. So
great.
So, and I mean really awesome guests.
Big.
But I cannot talk about.
Surely not as awesome as this table.
Well, this
right?
I'm
fair enough. Make him uncomfortable.
Moving on.
Open mouth, insert foot. But yeah.
But I think, going to your previous point, I think like you're going to have some fun stuff to kind of like, if you're waiting on news from us from there,
yes,
you know, leading up to Christmas, I think you'll have some fun stuff to kind of
I've promised
to chew
him
on.
another appearance at some point.
Yeah.
So
Man,
when
you
we're
guys
ready.
tease it.
I know,
In these videos. Like, if I was watching at home, I'd be like, this is like the 5th time. You told me something is coming.
As someone who has been watching at home and is now here, I'm also like, I could just reach across the table. Sorry.
Well, on that note, we're gonna go over to part 2 of our podcast, which covers art and animation, and we're gonna change up our guests, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Oh, that one.
Oh, that one. Bye.
Hello everyone and welcome back to this holiday episode of Tales from the Tavern. As you can see, we've got some fabulous pink reindeer in front of us now to just get us in the festive spirit. Along with these festive smiles, joined by our art team here. So let's go around the table and introduce ourselves.
So I'm Ryan Stevenson, the art director of Sea of Thieves.
I'm Andrea Warren. I'm the art production director at Rare.
I'm Joachim Koppens. I'm an environment artist on Sea of Thieves.
Sweet. And obviously we have you guys in here because over the last month we've been releasing videos on our YouTube channel and Facebook on our Inside Story series and our
Short haul.
On, it's because I'm thinking about what to call the short haul. Outposts is one of them, and we have World in Motion.
Yep.
Which you two are in, and we have Imagining Islands. Joachim starred in that one, and Animating Skeletons, which was our animation one with Andrew Burt on there. But we have been asking our loyal fans to use the hashtag Tavern Talk and ask some questions to you guys, and if we got them in advance. So we've got our first one here that's kind of aimed at you, Ryan.
Okay.
From David Ratledge on what looks like Facebook.
Yeah.
Saying, where are you pulling your inspiration from when designing island after island? And favourite snack when designing?
Favourite snack to eat while designing. Snacks are very popular on the internet.
So, inspiration for islands. A lot of the world team do a lot of the island creation, but the overall kind of like direction at the start of it was real world inspiration. So a lot of the islands that we see within the world, kind of Devil's Ridge, I think we've mentioned a few times, is actually based on quite a naturalistic shape. So we've kind of like we defined a shape that looked quite cool, and then just pushed it that little bit so it felt more Sea of Thieves. So really taking inspiration from the real world. It's full of lots of interesting places, so that you can just be inspired by it. But snacks, what do the world team?
The world team does a lot of snacking. That's for sure.
Donuts today, I think.
Muffins.
Brownies today as well.
Oh, there we go.
Super healthy.
Oh yeah. We do our best.
So like obviously we can dive in with you a little bit this, Joachim as well. Island inspiration, like when you've designed many islands now.
Well, Ryan's already mentioned it. We look at the real world. For instance, I remember a while back I did about a day and a half of like just flying around Google Maps and finding cool shapes and finding interesting places, and where you sometimes wouldn't think to look if you're making a game in a tropical paradise like we're making. Like, you can get really cool shapes off the coast of Scandinavia, for example, and some of the islands are loosely inspired on that. And that's, it's a little bit grounded in the real world, and then we do our fantastical take on it, sort of.
And sometimes it's kind of cut and shut, isn't it? Kind of like you find landmarks that are interesting in one place and you merge them together with something else.
Yeah.
Just so that, like from the map view, like the map there, they need to look interesting and have kind of obvious places to go, especially when you're treasure hunting and things like that.
Okay, this one's from Steve, who actually was here for our fan visit back in May.
Yes.
One of our friendly Canadians. He wants to know what has been one of the artistic challenges while working on Sea of Thieves, and what is an element you're most proud of. So, challenges, and what are you proud of?
Challenges would probably be kind of the challenge, and also what I'm most proud of is kind of the same thing. It's the size of the world and the consistency within it. It's the biggest game I think Rare's ever made in kind of landmass, and it's the biggest game I've ever kind of made. And just the amount of locations there are, and the amount of kind of different islands and the ships and all the different types of props and objects within the world, and getting that consistency across, that was the largest challenge. And also because it's a kind of a stylized look, and it's not something that you can just point at realism and say just copy that. Everything has to be kind of be authored and kind of thought around how it fits within the world. So that's the biggest challenge of how that all links together. And the proudest thing is the fact that we've done it. So it's the same thing, the challenge and the success in that.
I think, like, for me, one of the great things is the fact that the concept art and the actual 3D art really marry up. Like, you don't often see that. And again, like we talked about it in our one, like the ambition of kind of really resetting the visuals for a game at Rare.
Yes.
And it being stylized and recognizable. And I think, I don't know, I think we've hit that.
I think so, yeah, definitely. There's a couple of concepts that if you put the concept and the island next to each other, like for instance,
you can barely tell, yeah,
like Smuggler's Bay, the one we've shown in our video. If you put those together, it's that's what it is. It's
There was one moment where someone actually thought we'd released, I think it was Craig who thought we'd released a piece of concept of a treasure chest, and it was actually the 3D model. So that was kind of like, yes, that was a success.
Yeah, it's really interesting just seeing as more objects come into the game, that style really expanding across like different props and different like islands than we've seen before, especially looking at something like you say like Smuggler's Bay. Obviously there was a huge fan reaction around that when we released that concept art, and then finally being able to show that in video. It would have been good to be able to get a wide on that and show the transition between the two, because they are very, very similar when you see them in game.
We could do that.
Put it on social media.
Yeah.
Make that happen.
And the consistency between like characters and the environments as well is kind of really good on this project,
because there's all lots of different teams working on lots of different areas. So just getting the making sure that's consistent within it as well, because everyone approaches it in different ways. Like the environment, the way that we do that has to be about the larger islands, and then the small details within there, where the character, they've got lots of small detail kind of inherently built into them with their eyes and the mouths and everything. But making sure that was all felt stylistically the same and it sat within the environment.
Yeah, but you guys were referencing art style. For anyone who hasn't seen it, your Art of Adventure panel from Comic-Con is on our YouTube channel if you haven't seen it. It's about an hour long, so it's settling with some good snacks, but it's worth taking a look if you haven't seen it.
You can hear me talk for a long time.
Yay!
The other thing, I mean, just looking out of the window behind us, that I'm always super impressed with when it comes to the islands is how dense we make them feel. Like, it's been, obviously that's a huge technical challenge as well as an artistic challenge, but it's been really impressive to see like how amazing, like when you go into a jungle canopy, how dense that feels like, and for an open world game especially.
The beauty of that is the islands though, in a way, because they're self-contained, so we kind of get away with a bit.
The water helps us out in between, doesn't it? So, but I mean, you'd be surprised. There's only a handful of assets used in the foliage. It's just good choice to get the right coverage and to get the variation needed. But there's not actually that many individual kind of species and things.
No.
And that goes back to that idea of handcrafting each island, and how much that really helps when it comes to following that artistic vision.
Yes, it's all hand authored.
Yeah, for sure.
But it gives the best results.
Definitely.
There's some like useful tools that we've used, but I mean it's quite difficult. Normally when you make a game that's like corridor based, you can dress the route of travel. But it's been quite difficult to get a good enough quality across the entire island, but not so much that it's completely unachievable across the entire game.
You try to imagine where the player's going to run, right? What are they going to be looking at? From where are they going to go to, from like between different places, you know? How are they going to travel and how are they going to go? And you want to make that look good, those paths, but then everything has to look that good.
Yeah, you can kind of
It's a bit-
encourage them to go certain
Yeah, you
way
can-
by
yeah,
making
that's what
that
I
look
mean,
good
yeah.
over there. But yeah, they
Yeah.
can just freely run around everywhere, so you just
Yeah.
have to.
So you have to bring everything up to that
Yeah.
standard, and it is a challenge. But like you said, we reuse a lot of assets, but we reuse them in ways that it's not that obvious that we're reusing them. So
Yeah.
I think like an areas of interest, like not only tying into like lore and being interesting for the players, but it also gives. I mean, I play a lot of Halo multiplayer, and you want to try and, for people who play it a lot, learn the areas of a place so you can call out to friends, like or
Yeah.
like and say like, oh, I was here. Remember this specific place on this island. We need to go there,
Yeah.
or whatnot. So it's like, I think dressing those islands really helps with that co-op and multiplayer experience
Yeah.
as well as the storytelling on there. But it was really interesting when we heard you in the Imagining Islands video talking about those areas of interest. I think a lot of people picked up on that part that you talked about with the rock slide.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
We try to sneak in, well, not sneak in, but we try to put in as many of these things as we can, just to add, like I said in that video, to add history to everything and to make everything feel more believable.
What's another example of that?
Another
Put 'em on the
example of
spot.
that.
Yeah.
Well, we have one on another island near Smuggler's Bay, I would say. There's like a little rowboat that at some point someone's dragged onto the beach and then left some of his stuff in there. So you'll see like a little bottle laying there and the oars like scattered about. But it's been there a while, so it's filled up with sand over time on one side, and it's like it's been there for a while. You know, that's things like this is what we try to put on islands.
You're like, listening to a story.
It's a tiny little thing, like
Nurse
someone dragged a rowboat onto a beach, but then that effect that the environment has had on that over time, it's very tiny. It's just some sand blowing into it, but it just feels natural and it feels like it belongs there.
And is there thought across that in regards to chaining these areas of interest like into like almost small, like chained together stories almost?
Chaining them.
Maybe.
Chaining.
Perhaps.
You mean like connecting them?
Yeah, but it'd be, yeah, you can imagine where that sort of thing would go. Like,
Yes.
I think there's lots of potential for that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
isn't there?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's lots of little
Easter eggs.
Easter eggs and
Little tiny ones.
mini
Yeah.
stories you can invent from stuff that you see around, I guess.
yeah,
Mhm.
we're
But-
fans like their Easter eggs.
But I
Yeah.
think that's important as well. Is stories that you can kind of like link together or kind of find, but also things that people can infer, kind of like look at and try and make up their own. Because that's important around the world. You really good open world games, they don't always give you all the information.
Exactly.
You have to kind of go, right, if that happened and this, and maybe they're connected, but they never say for sure. And I think that's the best way of storytelling.
You
Then
don't want to
it-
spell it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, too obvious.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we have another question from James on Twitter, the Jim87.
Mm-hmm.
It says, how much work goes into making just one prop in the game compared to something large scale such as a town? I think he's probably referring to our outposts, but like Andrea, that's probably...
The process
Okay.
of making a prop.
How
The
much
history of the
how much
sword.
work? The history of the
The
sword.
sword.
Yeah. Well, every asset, big or large, kind of goes through the same kind of process. So it starts at concept, and it has a big concept pass. Then it goes to be made, and that duration is dependent on the size of the asset. So like a sword, will take on average 7 days to make. A 3D artist to make, start to finish. It's probably a couple of days of concept.
Yeah.
A couple of days of review.
Yeah.
So you can get a sword popped out of the magical asset machine in a couple of weeks if you really wanted it. Whereas kind of like a port, I mean, if you think every building on there is kind of 10, 20 days worth of work, then times that by how many buildings and then add the similar size assets all together, and
put
you're
the props
talking
in those buildings.
Yeah, put the props in the buildings on the island that like Joachim's made. It's months of work to make something large. But like individual asset by asset, kind of like a handheld prop is about 7 days, and a building is probably about 15.
Yeah.
And everything in between those. And a ship, well, they take a while.
Yeah,
So,
quite some time.
Yet to be
lots
estimated.
more work then.
Yes.
Yeah, lots. We've got quite a lot of people making them, so it's cool.
This one's from Curtis Murphy 00 on Twitter. So he says, where did you get inspiration from to give the characters their unique look and art style?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was just looking at kind of very much tropey pirate kind of films and things at the start, and pirate literature, and it was the whole kind of worn and torn aspect of the world. I kind of realised partway through this I'd do this eventually on every single project, so I've got to do a new thing next time. That having things look like the kind of second hand or worn in the world, we wanted to kind of get that within the characters as well, and also wanted to make them feel a little bit sculptural, because we're simplifying a lot of the objects down, so you end up kind of looking at character and how you can remove details but still feel like this human kind of character that's running around. So you simplify the forms, and then the texturing is also kind of using the same kind of rules that we use within the objects and the rocks, and the way that there's brush marks and kind of mark making within them, and just the kind of clothing and the themes. They're all tied to this kind of tropey pirate theme of being this kind of rough second tier kind of heroes, because in kind of pirate films you always have the good looking swashbuckling characters, and that's not what Sea of Thieves is. It's about the everyday pirates that are kind of running around and being this kind of like ragtag bunch. So it was just trying to capture like that into a character, and I think we kind of you look at them all together and they feel like that. They feel like this crew of kind of like slightly down and out pirates, which we like doing.
I like that though.
On rare games, we don't do the classic kind of chiseled hero. We often do the kind of more kind of like oddball heroes, and I think that's what the characters are. They're kind of like trying to embody that feeling within Sea of Thieves.
I think it's unrealistic having them perfectly clean and very well coiffed, and like you see in movies with the female FBI agent who's running in 6-inch heels and she's perfectly
that's impressive when
made
they
up.
do.
Well, it is impressive, but you're going, that's not realistic at all.
Yeah.
So I like our pirates a lot.
Yeah.
Makes them a lot more real, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Gives it a lot more character.
Yeah.
Charm.
Whereas charm, kind of the wonky charm.
Yeah, and I think
we call it.
that was the that was the main thing. It was right from day one. It's like these have to feel like rare characters.
Yeah.
However we kind of build them or make them or what style they are, they need to feel part of this rare universe, as it were.
Yeah.
And you can see that even just when we release something like the 15 years of Xbox thing recently.
Yeah.
And we had the kind of image we released with all.
Oh
of
yeah,
our
we had like a
characters
lineup of characters
like,
from all 15 years.
The pirates don't stick out as being like, oh, like that doesn't fit within our history of characters. It's really cool to see.
And that kind of like what Andrew said about we decided we wanted to kind of redefine what a rare kind of game was from an artistic point of view, but at the same time we wanted to kind of embrace all that history and bring that all into the project. So it's kind of the ultimate fusion of the classic kind of rare characters, but kind of like using all the technology and all the kind of approaches that we've learnt over the years.
So we've got another question from Taylor Woody on Facebook. What was surprisingly the easiest task you had to do that involves art?
Go on, let
Quite
each of us, come on.
Question.
The easiest
Easiest
thing.
bit of island you had to make.
The easiest island.
Okay, what was the easiest thing to do that was the coolest?
Oh, that's actually a very difficult question. I'm drawing a blank here. Well, the easiest islands would be the smaller islands, like just because we have these big large features in the world, but then we also have like smaller islands that you can sail past, and those are, while they can be really nice idyllic places, and they look just as nice as all the rest. They're just small, self-contained little pieces of art, and they're actually really quick to make.
Yeah.
It takes like 2 days.
But they like equally when you're viewing them, there's still a lot of things to take into consideration. Like when we talked about in the Imagine Islands one, the idea of how it looks like from above, like on a map and stuff. And it's like you can't have 40 smaller islands that all look exactly the same.
Of course, no.
No,
So
that's not easy.
Yeah, so like when you've only got a small area to work with, like it must be interesting having to constantly change that shape into.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot of shapes from above, and you think, oh my god, that's never gonna work from player vision, but that's in a lot of cases it actually works pretty well.
I think with the smaller islands as well, because you kind of put them together in like little groups, you can get you can make those layouts of those groups different again, so you get more variation within, rather than with the larger islands, you've just got the island on its own. So at the start that was easy. What was the question? What was it?
Easy to find things that are easy.
Like surprisingly an easy task.
Surprisingly easy. Nothing's
ever surprisingly easy.
Every bit of art's a bit of your soul, really. So, so pouring that into anything that you do, if you're doing it right, it's always a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Because we're always pushing ourselves to do the best that we can do. So, if we ever do something and it, in all honesty, it feels a bit too easy, we normally go, can we just go that a little bit further and just make it hard for yourself then? I
think like hitting the art style has been surprisingly easy, to be fair. That's probably the closest thing. You set a really easy target, Ryan.
It didn't feel easy.
No.
There was months of development.
But just that consistency. On the previous projects I've worked on anyway, you've always had that kind of the AD's been, why doesn't it look like the concept? And this is probably the first project I've worked on where the actual finished artwork is bang on.
Yeah, I think once it clicks, like if you start working in this style, once it clicks, it's natural, and everything you do after that, it's just its own style, or almost.
Oh, brilliant! That means no one should ever make anything that's off style again.
Well, we try.
Yeah.
But I guess that is the challenge moving forward, as we have new props and new islands and stuff come in.
Yeah.
It's like constantly making sure that everything stays consistent throughout the world, because this is a world that's constantly expanding.
Yeah, that does get easier though, as Joachim says. It just more and more people are doing that style, so you end up kind of a new things come in and a new object has to be made, and people just get it then. It's very similar. Okay, it's a new sword. I know what swords look like, or I know what pistols look like, or
it's only really when a new surface or something like a new material comes in that there needs to be some kind of R&D around what does that look like in our world. But as soon as we've got that example, everybody's able to look at that set of assets then and go, right, well, I understand that material now, so now I can make anything in that material.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Or even things that are like a slightly larger departure from probably what we've seen before, like something like the ghost ship.
Yes.
Like when we're talking about, that's quite a stylistic change.
Yeah, but I think it's good that those kind of challenges are great, because then we can we don't have to rely on reality. We can bend it even further, can't we?
Yeah.
And just do something that's really visually exciting then.
Yeah. So again, the fundamentals of that is, we know what wood looks like and we know what the structure of a ship looks like, so it's taking that and pushing that further. So it's like, okay, let's make it even more kind of evocative of the style and this kind of ethereal magic of the world.
So that's like, because I think what we've shown a lot so far over the trailers from E3 and past has been this tropical paradise that we have around here, and we, like, as we've already hinted at, that kind of fantastical element still runs throughout.
Absolutely.
Runs throughout our game, and I think it'll just be interesting in the future as we start to show more of that. You see how this starts to tie together. Like,
yes, there is a thread that brings it all together, and the ghost ship is the biggest thing.
The cinematic trailer was a good example, because you were going through so many different lighting, different weather, different locations, different setups, but it was all sort of seamlessly moving through and showing it all in one run.
And just calling out again at that cinematic trailer, because I don't think many people picked up, but that was all in engine.
Yes, and they're all assets. They're all the in-game assets that we've kind of built, and they're sitting there.
Yeah.
Ready.
Yes.
Ready. Yeah.
Poised, ready to go into the game.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we should probably wind this up, but I just want to direct everybody to, if you're watching the video. We have the audio podcast if you want to continue that another time when you're picking up on the next one. And likewise, if you're listening to the audio, I'm sure you can see all these beautiful faces that surround me in 4K on our YouTube channel.
Newly beardless Ryan.
Glorious for
Cold.
Oh,
And if you're listening to the audio, you really don't want to miss out on my fantastic
sparkly stags.
festive stags.
With a leg missing.
Shh, I tried to cover that up.
Obviously, we will be continuing our inside story and stuff into the future, but this is holiday season.
Yep. And the last podcast of the year.
And the last podcast of the year. So
Yeah.
next time we speak to you will be in the future in 2017.
Wow.
And there'll be flying cars, and there'll be all sorts of
Food and
Hoverboards.
pills.
hoverboards,
Hoverboards.
yes.
Yeah.
self-lacing shoes.
We're gonna get
Wow.
them for Christmas presents.
So obviously, tune in next year to our
Yeah.
podcast. We're all substantially older.
Substantial.
Speak for yourself.
And just to remind everyone, hashtag Tavern Talk on Facebook and Twitter. If you want to send us any questions or feedback, so just let us know. And I just want to thank everybody that's here for joining us, and thank you to our special guest Reese, who came in before.
Yep. And thanks everyone for tuning in for the past however many months.
Yes, thank you for supporting us, and we hope you have a good holiday.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Happy
holiday.
holidays.
Happy holiday.
Cheesy wave. I don't know which one. That one.